And we are back here at DreamHack Atlanta, where we just saw Onslaught take a clean victory over Brace for Impact. Yes, that was the name of the team. Blanked on it for a second. They're about to be going up against NRG in our next match. I'm excited to see how this one will go. NRG, a favorite of the tournament, but anything can happen here on LAN Day. I'm joined here by Quinn Lobdell, who I didn't let you talk very much last time. So how are you really doing?
No, I'm doing great. I mean, it's okay.
I was just so enamored with Husky, you know.
Yeah, he's a beautiful guy.
I just had to talk to him too. Achieves and Fickle both back here on the desk. And guys, Onslaught looking strong there in their first matchup, but they have quite a giant against them right now in NRG.
Yeah, NRG is an absolutely fantastic team coming fresh off of a LAN victory over at the X Games. So they're going to be feeling a little bit of pressure, I guess, to maintain their performance. I know that historically NRG is not the greatest when it comes to...
This was the first victory they had ever had in LAN.
Right, yeah. LANs are just not their best opportunity. We've seen that in the RLCS. We've seen them come 7th and 8th. I believe twice, and then 3rd in their final performance. So it looks like maybe there's some kinks that got figured out. Hopefully they can bring that performance today.
Yeah, guys, how are you feeling about NRG right now?
I mean, how do you bet against them? I mean, you said about their performance at the X Games. With their performance at the X Games, they brought their LAN complete record up to positive. They're 32-30 now across all major LANs.
There you go.
And Onslaught is a comfortable 2-0, so they've got them soundly beat in win percentage.
Literally undefeated on LAN.
Right now.
I have them for the entire tournament.
We've only seen them in the 2 games though, so we'll see. Onslaught here. Speculate with me, guys. NRG is the clear favorite here. NRG may be a favorite to win the whole tournament, going up against Onslaught, a team that looks good, but we do not have any hopes that they're going to beat NRG here. What does Onslaught need to do to upset NRG?
Honestly, I'm not sure if there's many things that they can do. They might just be outclassed, but realistically speaking, when you're in a situation like this where you are severely outclassed, bad habits that tend to happen, or you become defensive and you get scared to pressure the other team. And really, that's the only way you're going to be able to catch a team like NRG off guard. You need to be able to do something to affect their play, throw them off, and really turn the tides in your favor. And it's going to be difficult for them, but you know, NRG, they do have some pressure on them to maintain their performance at LAN. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, NRG has a lot of physicality, and Jacob's such a strong presence out of the midfield for those guys. So if you're asking for keys to defeat NRG, I mean, actually, it's not going to be shutting down Jacob. I think it's going to be shutting down opportunities from Garrett G, because as an offensive force, the guy went off at the X Games. So you find an answer to keep him off the shots, you'll be all right.
Completely, I think, without a doubt, the MVP of the X Games last week. If you saw the stats posted, he was clear above everybody else. And it's just going to be business per usual as NRG steps up on the stage. They might be the most veteran North American team on a LAN build. And now that they've finally gotten their first win, it's just going to be quick money like that.
You think there's any chance, from any of you think there's any chance that we see Onslaught getting a solid midfield offensive rotation, getting a siege going, and keeping the ball trapped in NRG's half at any point during the series?
I really don't think that's going to
happen
at all. I think Onslaught's biggest chance here is going to be to catch NRG off guard with some demos and be able to sneak in a quick goal. Something like that,
So going for the counterplay.
Right, yeah. I don't think that they're going to outplay NRG. I think the skill gap is too big here. I mean, Husky and RVP are both, you know, long-standing members of Rocket League, but I just don't see them being able to upset NRG so easily.
Yeah, and of course, NRG on your screen, and there's Onslaught, but any chance of keeping trapped in their own half on the NRG half? There's a slim one. I mean, the chances of it happening, not much, but there's always a chance.
I can get behind what Quinn's saying here. You hunker down on defense, wait for the mistake, wait for the opening in the back rotation, and then go for the counterplays as much as possible. Probably the best strategy here. And guys, I feel like I don't need to do this, but I'm going to ask you anyways, just for formality, predictions here. NRG, Onslaught. I got an NRG from him.
NRG.
All right, all the way down the board. We're all pulling for NRG here, or expecting the victory from the boys in pink. So I'm excited to see Garrett G on your screen, and also Jacob alongside him, rocking that X Games hat, proud of their first victory in the LAN. I'm going to try and duplicate that here. And as you said, I think if there's one other thing that we could see Onslaught having the advantage in, it's just the fact that NRG still does not have a winning record or a winning total.
They do. They're 32-30.
They have a winning game record. They don't have a winning LAN record.
Yes.
They're 1-4, I guess.
Yeah, but how many people have winning LAN records?
I don't know. It was
actually a lot of the top teams do. A lot of the top teams do, actually, believe it or not.
Really?
I went through and did all the math. A lot of the top teams
that they've won more LAN.
Not won more lands, but total game records.
Okay.
It was a confusing way to phrase it for sure.
Okay,
I did a poor job explaining that. But as you said at the top, NRG not known for their land play. We'll see if they can continue that here. See if we can see a new era of NRG. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a good one. Of course, Onslaught, as we said, massive underdogs. But, I mean, they did have a couple of good performances and a solid showing against the Brace for Impact guys. So, I mean, if they take a game, more power to them. I mean, take one off of NRG in a best of 3, and you put the sweat to them.
Right, I mean, it is important to know that these are best of 3s, which
Yes.
are uncharacteristic for competitive Rocket League. Usually they're a best of 5, and the importance of having a best of 5 kind of gets rid of the fluky types of goals
Sure.
in games. That's what's more consistency over a longer series. So it's going to be important that any team in this tournament really comes here with a strong performance.
Well, and we didn't really take any time at the top of the broadcast to clarify how this system works here. You got groups. You're going to be taking the top 2 out of these groups of 4. This is a group of 3, but every other group is a group of 4, and there's 32 teams total. The top 2 teams from each group move into the next round where they will play in a new group. Top 2 teams from there move on to play in a bracket of 8 teams. So that is how this format works. Right now, both these teams looking like they're going to probably move on just fine unless Brace for Impact can somehow massively upset NRG. But other than that happening, NRG and Onslaught, both will see them both later today.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead, get into the game, and things start off well for the NRG side. They get the kickoff and the corner boost steal of the Onslaught half as Garrett G looks to keep the offensive going in an early double commit. Not the best sign you want out of the Onslaught guys. Definitely going to have to watch that. It might be a little bit on edge being up against a team of the caliber of NRG. We see their first foray out into the blue side. Turned away, no problem by Fireburner. Husky just lurking in the midfield. He's going to try and make sure that they don't get downfield for free. And as I say that, Alex Storm has to come across and throw one away from the orange net.
I would like to harp on something that Quinn mentioned, is that going against these monstrous teams, the worst thing you can do actually is be defensive and be in your own net. Because just like this, if you let them set up on you, there's going to be a lot of pressure coming your way.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn definitely mentioned that is one of the worst things you can do. It is definitely correct, because you give space like that to a team like NRG, and you're just asking to get boxed down in your own half. So things start off well here for the NRG guys, and Husky with a nice tap off the back wall. Fireburner takes it out on a dribble, and a good challenge from RVP out of midfield. Says you're not going to just walk out for free. Jacob wants 2. He's back on the dominance. He played breakout at the X Games, if I remember correctly. And
yeah, Jacob has a car crisis. He can never really settle it down. Yeah, but something else interesting to mention is that Fireburner, a longtime Batmobile aficionado, has maybe switched off for good and gone to the Octane. Maybe it's a bit of good juju as he's finally taken home his first land victory on the Octane, but we'll see how it works out for him today. I don't really see it having too much of an impact, but maybe it's just a superstition thing.
Well, Onslaught are actually putting together a fairly decent offensive showing here. Of course, as I say that, it breaks down. There's a tough pass off the back wall. Fireburner going to be kept away. A quick challenge from RVP coming out of the corner. And Onslaught has a chance once again down onto the NRG half. And Garrett says, no, thank you. We will keep this away and buy a little bit more time. Big missed clear, and it's locked at 1s. Alex Storm finds the back.
Man, that has got to feel really good scoring against NRG and actually having a tied game. Quite a bit of a whiff there from Jacob as well off of the backboard. I think he was trying to go for a really monstrous clear and actually didn't clip it right. And in that specificity did not get the hit at all. And it just drops down for an easy shot for Onslaught. And we have a tied game between these two teams.
Garrett G, tough clear incoming. He is successful this time around. A little bit of a delay from Alex Storm. Unfortunately, the only players there are going to be NRG. Jacob splits off to deny that mid boost from the advancing Onslaught players. As Husky will have to rotate. He's got a long rotate back too as he drove over that middle boost that we just saw Jacob take, and he's got nothing as Alex Storm has no problem throwing one away from the orange net. Garrett G, no problem for RVP as they push on to this NRG half once again. We were saying that Onslaught might have a little bit of trouble getting the offense started, but so far their only problem is finding the back of the net. Jacob tries to set up Garrett G, and Husky is there to stop that one. Nice
recovery there from Onslaught. They let Jacob get that double touch, but they immediately sent 2 people to jump on it. You know, they double committed, but if you didn't, then they would have gotten scored on. So game is still tied as we are past halftime, something that probably nobody saw coming. Yeah, definitely a solid showing so far from Onslaught and NRG.
I mean, they've got the offense going, but they have to find the back of the net too. And Husky, actually my mistake, RVP with a nice aggressive challenge out of the net, and Husky there struggling on this low boost. We've seen him now a couple times having to make some difficult plays as Fireburner says goodbye to Alex Storm, and we're under 2 minutes and we're still locked here at the first game of this best of 3. And you have to wonder, I mean, Quinn touched on it on the desk. You lock down on defense, don't let them out of their half for free, and hello, this one just skitters across the orange front.
There has been so much play in the orange side of Onslaught as they are getting locked down in their side of the net. NRG, I think it's only a matter of time until they run them out of boost, but there comes a clear all the way down the field. We'll see if Onslaught can play now.
Ooh, Fireburner with 2 demos in a row. He took down Alex Storm, and on his way out of the midfield takes down Husky. Alex Storm with the respawn, going to be applying a bit of pressure out of the midfield. Fireburner more than willing to wait. Unfortunately came up empty, and hello, he finds his 3rd of the game. That's almost halfway to extermination. Man,
there's been, I think, 5 demos for NRG and nothing for Onslaught. I think Husky tried to get a bump on the net earlier in the match, but it has been so physical from NRG, and that's usually what we're normally seeing out of them.
Yeah, NRG definitely a very physical North American team as Husky says you're not coming out of your half for free. Great pass up to Alex Storm. Actually, just lurking up there, it had a blue trail as it headed up to him. And now Jacob just goes down to the ground. Shot into the middle. Garrett G says, thank you very much.
Easy shot there for Garrett off of the backboard. I kind of wanted to touch on what Jacob accomplished here. He wanted to go for the double touch, but immediately knows he's not going to get it. And instead opts to just barrel towards the player in the net. Didn't accomplish either. But even the threat of him going towards the goalie there actually leads for an opportunity for Garrett to shoot.
Well, Onslaught were able to equalize quickly off the last one, and they do so here. RVP finds the equalizer.
And RVP being the hype man in the middle. Ooh, a bit of a calculated whiff there maybe from the side of Onslaught. I believe a member of NRG was positioning themselves on the wall for the pass that would have been off the backboard, but it drops and then a shot comes into the bottom left.
And Onslaught have made game 1 a game to remember for them here at DreamHack Atlanta. As Jacob wants 2 off the back wall, can't find it, big miss, and that'll do it. Fireburner takes the lead right back.
Fireburner with the icy goal explosion is just going to gobble this ball up off of the whiff from 2 whiffs from Onslaught. That is really unfortunate, seeing as how they were holding this team so close, and you're going to squander a goal like that. You're giving all of your opportunity away with, 2 simple whiffs.
We've had 3 goals in 20 seconds between these 2 teams. As now RVP tries to get 1 more for the road and give them a chance at overtime. Jacob cuts 1 1/2. A little bit of a delay, and the clock against them now. Long clear. Fireburner's right there to shut it down. Clock hits 0, and it's a matter of time as this one kept up by Alex Storm. Now it's on Husky. They both miss it. Lets it go for his teammate, and NRG take game 1.
As we expected, NRG takes game number 1. But I don't think anybody was expecting Onslaught to keep it that close. Yeah. Really, really impressive performance of them, especially to equalize twice during that series right after they were already scored on.
Yeah, and in relatively short order. That's what you just said. It's so important to be able to rally quickly, even if you give up the go-ahead goal, and get yourself right back into a game. It stops you from falling into a bit of a lull, and you just keep that pressure and that hype in your team saying, we can do this, we can take NRG, and you actually, moving into game number 2, I'm actually expecting more of the same out of Onslaught. They look ready to go. RVP said, hey, we lost game 1, but boy, was it close.
Yeah, I really like his vocalness. I don't even know if that's a word, but going in between the middle of games where you just lost, it is very easy for team comms to just instantly take a dive, and you stop talking, and you stop communicating, and you stop rotating properly, and boom, 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 you're just losing 6-0 because you just lost 1 game and there's that landslide. I really like that he's having like a very fierce conversation with his teammates, like, oh, we're still in this, we can do this, like that. You need that one player on your team to do that, because once things are down, you depend on that player to hype everybody up.
Yeah, and NRG, Calm, Cool, Collected, and Onslaught, they're all talking to each other. They're ready to go, and there's the kickoff for game number 2. NRG, it's actually on Champions Field. Brand new Rocket League map courtesy of Psyonix, and it starts off again with some early quick-off pressure from NRG. RVP in charge of the clearing. Up to Alex Storm on the wall. The 1-2-3 shut down by Fireburner. Read it nicely in a huge missed clear. Going to allow the offense to sally forth from NRG. clear from Husky. 30 seconds elapsed, and NRG haven't seemed to have missed a step. They go back to keeping Onslaught back on their own half, and Garrett G just out into space, keeping it away, and says, thank you very much, RVP. We'll see you next time in 3 seconds.
I really hope Onslaught does keep this competitive, as I was absolutely impressed with their previous performance, but Fireburner, I think he has other plans.
Fireburner definitely has other plans. Jacob, a brilliant setup man for the NRG team. A great pass. Got it right off that lip in the corner. Bounced it nice and high, just enough away from the goalie to put that one out of reach. And a good follow through from Fireburner. Fireburner and Garrett G. I ran the math. After day 1 of the X Games, Garrett G and Fireburner scored 92% of their goals in that first day. So definitely look for them to have some big offensive performances here at DreamHack. As 1 minute in, just about, and NRG find themselves on top early again, and we'll have to see how quickly Onslaught are able to rally here.
Yeah, by this time in the previous game, they had already equalized the goals, so Onslaught are looking to get back onto this, but NRG hadn't played a game before this series. Onslaught did, so maybe now NRG's a bit warmed up, but ooh, that's a very unfortunate bounce for Onslaught, as he beat both members, but the corner of the wall is not going to do him any justice.
Yeah, sometimes the wall is both your friend and your greatest rival. Is just an unfortunate bounce. RVP doing such a good job to give themselves a good scoring opportunity, but gets things done on the defensive half here. And it will come right back off that back wall. Husky with a nice play. Jacob and Fireburner go for that touch, and Jacob will immediately split back off into defense and let Garrett G throw this one to the side. Actually, as I say that, just came up empty, and now we might see Onslaught get their first real taste of being on offense here in game number 2. We'll see how long they keep it on this blue side.
Yeah, very nice pass into the middle there, almost taken care of by RVP, just not able to get enough power on it onto the side. And now we are back into our regular show as we see NRG gonna score again, and Garrett this time, like you said, Garrett Fireburner usually scoring the majority of the goals for NRG.
And boy, did he square that one up. Use the corner of that Octane, just gave it a lot of power. Also went right into the goal and took out the goalie in the middle. So Garrett G says, I mean, thanks for the pass, but I'm going to do most of this myself.
Right. Jacob actually did get a bump onto the goalie from Onslaught and sent him into the roof. I think they actually had the save on that, but NRG, known for being such a physical team, always going to use that opportunity to their advantage.
Just about halfway through an Onslaught. The offense has been flagging a little bit. We'll have to see if they can restart the engine. The defense actually being fairly solid. They've only allowed 2 goals to a team like NRG, who put up just about 10 against everybody. They played against some of the best European teams in the world back at the first day of the X Games. So the defense looking fairly good. It's just a matter of, can they get onto that other side of the pitch and get things started over on the offensive half, as now RVP just going to split off, went for perhaps a demo and said boost over car. It's now Alex Storm patiently out of that corner, and Fireburner and Jacob just alternating turns, trying to throw this one back into the midfield. And a lot of corner play is definitely a lot of how well you read the clears coming out of it. We've spent a good solid maybe 30 seconds or so in this orange corner, and both teams have read it very nicely to keep it in a neutral state.
And when it gets stuck in the corner like that, it really says a lot about the defensive clears coming out. It means they don't have enough confidence to get it past the midline, so they're just going to throw it into the corner, which is usually a safe play, but NRG is not going to let the ball go into the corner uncontested. They're waiting there in the corner and putting it back in, but Onslaught is just going to try to push it back into the corner once more, and we get into this vicious cycle, and then boom, you're in the final minute of the game down 2 goals, and you have to quickly get 2 if you want to have any chance.
Yeah, for sure. And now that's a great clear from Husky, but Garrett G playing nice and far back, able to shut that one down. RVP, tough cleared. Very fortunate that Jacob came up empty, but nobody able to recover, and it's 3-0 NRG.
I wonder if Jacob was trying to freestyle there. No, he wasn't. I think he actually went for a defensive read off of the backboard, but it's one of those instances where, hey, I think you're going to hit it, so I'm going to position myself where you think you're going to hit it, and then the other guy's like, oh, he's going to block me, I don't want to hit it there, and then they both end up whipping, and Fireburner's like, what are you guys doing? I'm just going to go for it.
It's like, just put it in the net, man. How hard could it be? This is the final minute counting down here. Onslaught looked great in game number 1. Unfortunately, NRG, those 5 minutes are all they needed, and Garrett G wanted a second one off that top corner. And actually on defense, RVP's earned himself a Savior medal. He's done a lot of work on the defensive half, but like you said, those clears out of the corner, and they just struggled to clear effectively out of their own half. NRG, solid positioning out of the midfield.
This is a bit of the tempo that we were expecting in this match. The first game ran a lot closer than this one, as now we see in game number 2, NRG, in their typical fashion, are going to be lights out and scoring a lot of goals.
Well, Fireburner comes up empty, but Garrett G has a chance for 2. Soft tap, upper right corner, 4-0.
He didn't have to place it into the top right corner, but he's just practicing for the later rounds of the tournament, as he's going to put this all the way across into the upper right corner. And that positioning of shooting is what makes Garrett G one of the best, because his car is heading towards the left-hand side of the goal, and you would think that's where he's going to shoot it, but he puts it over to the right-hand side, making it even more unsavable, as we are going to see NRG with a 2-0 over Onslaught in the group.
Yeah, and a solid show from NRG as well. That game number 2, definitely more in line with what we were expecting, but kudos to Onslaught. I mean, that game number 1 definitely could have gone either way. They looked very solid. Unfortunately, the defense couldn't really push them onto the offensive side of the field, and that was really their downfall in game number 2.
I mean, such a tough task to come onto the stage and play against a team that recently just won one of the most stacked LANs in the country. Very, very difficult, but I'd like to get the analyst desk opinion on that game. Wave.
Thanks so much, Fickle. NRG. Game number 2 looked like the champions that we know them to be right now, but game number 1, Onslaught impressed me, sending it up 2-2 at one point, only losing that game by 1 goal. Onslaught looking good right now.
Yeah, definitely, I think a surprise for all of us, right? I mean, nobody would have ever expected a team who plays 3rd in the RLCS, that's in the world, right, for all the viewers who are unaware, and then also winning the most recent Rocket League LAN, the X Games, to be able to go, for Onslaught to be able to go toe-to-toe with these guys, a team that doesn't really have a long-standing competitive history in Rocket League. You know, they don't have any household Rocket League competitive pro names. It caught me off guard for sure, and I'm sure you too as well,
yeah,
right? For
sure. And even game number 2, game number 2 was no brutal abuse of mistakes or anything. It was more just out-rotating them, having some fantastic passing plays, getting the right bumps in net, and significant amount of demos. Lawler, how you doing? Doing fantastic?
Doing pretty good. Oh, hey guys.
Hey.
How's it going? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yeah, no, for me, like you mentioned at the end, it had to do with Jacob. Like, Jacob was the most aggressive I've seen him play in actually quite a while. It was exciting to see because we talked about how Onslaught needed to do that. They needed to break up the rotation, stop them from basically having their way on NRG's side. And Jacob's like, yeah, I heard that. I'm going to do that. And then he shut it down for himself.
Right. I mean, I think the biggest difference between game 1 and game 2 is actually, Fickle mentioned earlier, I was saying to play defensively. I think he might have misunderstood my sentiment behind that. Let me correct him real quick.
Sure.
It's really important in Rocket League that you maintain defensive pressure. That means that even though you don't always want to be attacking the ball, you're conscious of where you are and the fact that you're never in no man's land. There's always a point where you're able to pressure the opponent and not let them set up the plays they want to set up without some kind of resistance, right?
I mean, it's in the same concept too. Like, if you're playing that area, your positioning is everything on that. I can either go and help my team on offense if I need to, but you're also able to move back in case there's a big counterattack. So.
Well, I thought that Jacob actually did a really good job at getting demos, which was huge because he was also stealing their boost and he was leaving them without boost, and that's why they got trapped. They had no boost, they were unable to leave their own half, and we saw NRG just literally walk all over them.
Right in the corner, man,
and
every
Jacob,
time.
In order to prevent them from losing pressure, I would see him oftentimes be in his own half, close to his own goal, just ready for a clear and letting Fireburner and Garrett G go for 50-50s and trying to maintain the ball in their half.
It was surprising to me how many demos we saw NRG getting on the 1 rotation.
Yeah,
the rotation of the first player who's moving out onto offense, getting demoing this player, where usually you see demos happening on like a 3rd in the back, or someone who's like not actively positioning themselves, someone who's dribbling a ball to get a demo onto that player, constantly shutting down the offensive move transition there.
Right, I think that NRG might actually be ahead of the curve here. It's a really good job to have the first player go in. Usually they've already committed to the ball. It's very easy for them to, as they're on their way out, to grab some boost as they're rotating, to just also go and slap a player around or two.
Yeah. Absolutely, and speaking of Jacob, the demo meister himself, Jacob, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good right now.
Yeah, for real. You guys coming off of a hot victory there, rocking the X Games hat. How was it to get that first LAN victory under your belt?
It felt nice for us. We knew that we could do it all along, and we finally went through on it, so
Fantastic. And I assume looking at this DreamHack Atlanta here, the goal is to repeat that. The goal is to get all the way to the finals again, yes?
That's always the goal, Wave Punk.
Yeah. Fantastic. How did you guys feel about Onslaught?
I mean, for me, like, I know you're not asking me about Onslaught, but
Sure.
I gotta ask about you before we even get into that. Could you hear your family in the back because they were loud?
I could hear them.
You gonna acknowledge it? You gonna maybe later?
They were there. So talk to me about this match. How did you guys feel, especially in game number 1 when it looked like Onslaught actually had a chance to take it from you?
Wasn't even close.
Oh, he says it wasn't even close. Even they got 2 goals on you?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you give them some, like, hand-me-outs, and then you take it away at the end.
Oh, man, the savage talk here
Jacob
from Jacob.
giveth and Jacob taketh.
So thoughts about Onslaught moving forward in the tournament? Are they? How far do you think they're going to make it?
They could definitely make it into the next round, but, I don't know, we'll see how they do. They should make it on at least a little bit farther, maybe top 16.
Okay, fantastic. And how do you feel about this tournament, looking at how much European talent is here? They're not jet-lagged like they've been in previous tournaments that you've played Europe when they were in North American soil. How do you feel about Europe right now?
Oh, we took down 2 of the biggest European titans last week in X Games. We can do it again now.
Fantastic.
Confident.
Right. I mean, we saw Gale Force actually take that lead in the X Games finals 3-1, and somehow, I don't know how you guys did this, Gale Force, blowing it big time against you guys, right? I mean, I don't want to say it was handed on a platter, but I mean, you guys definitely got a few bailouts, right?
Wasn't any bailouts. We just stepped it up.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did talk about it as well. Like, you noticed that your typical playstyle wasn't working, so you played a little bit more aggressive during the X Games, and it paid off. Do you see like any teams coming forward that you're gonna have to play that same kind of style where initially it may not work, that you have to adapt to?
Definitely Gale Force again. Their defense is like probably the strongest in the game right now, so we have to kind of play differently around that. Maybe the Muffin Men as well. They like the cutoff passes. So.
Okay.
So obviously you feel like you're going to make it to the finals. Who are you going to be playing in the finals?
Hopefully Gale Force again.
Oh,
Ooh, a rematch.
He wants to take it twice from them here. We'll see if they can do it. Before I let you go, Jacob, any shout-outs?
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom. We know she heard that. She's sitting out there watching her boy right now.
I'm waiting for the whistle.
Yeah.
No, all right,
I don't know if we'll be able to hear it all the way back here. But thanks so much, Jacob. Congratulations on the victory here, and good luck in the rest of the X Games.
Thank you.
Rest of DreamHack Atlanta. You already did the X Games. That one's my bad. Anyways, 2 matches under our belt here. We've got more in store for you guys as we head forward here. Going to be seeing NRG again later on today, most likely. But for now, we're going to jump to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more DreamHack Atlanta.